Today's guest is Airworthy, a hip hop artist based out of Utah. Airworthy has been quickly taken off, releasing close to 30 songs in the last year alone. Fresh off the release of his latest single, Rogue, welcome Airworthy.
Hey, it's
All
nice to
right.
have you on, man. Nice to have you on. So
Yeah, thank you.
tell people a bit about kind of what you've been doing, like where you came from, your kind of your story, a little bit about your background.
Okay. So I was born and raised in Provo, Utah.
Nice.
It's actually where I'm living right now. Um, Grew up I was a big skater kid growing up. That's a big part of my life.
Yeah.
And I think, from skateboarding, I actually started to listen to a lot of hip hop. Just because there was a lot of the skate videos that I'd watch, and then even I don't know if you guys ever played like Tony Hawk back in the day,
Yeah,
Yeah.
but
yeah.
they always
Oh,
had some real like underground hip hop on there, and it just like opened up this whole world of this like different genre of hip hop, like that. It wasn't the same stuff that I was hearing on the radio or at parties. It was something different, and it had this real, like, I don't know, deep, poetic, meaningful, lyrical, um, whole like world in the music. And so, one of my biggest inspirations is actually Atmosphere.
oh yeah.
And one of the bigger as far as like underground hip hop goes, Atmosphere, I feel like is really high up there. A lot of people know like who Atmosphere is, but he's
Yeah.
always kept like his real kind of like a genuine sound with him. I'm, not selling out or anything like that. And so fell in love with like his style of writing and storytelling and like lyricism. And I say him, but the rapper Slug, there's two, Slug, and then Ant, the producer. But I went and saw them numerous times, probably like 5 times in Salt Lake, and just through related artists, people that that they would like collab with, kind of. That's how I would discover a lot of these other artists.
Yeah.
But I guess I should probably like rewind a little bit. So like, um, I even before that, before I really started to fall in love with like the underground hip hop, I always loved like freestyling and beatboxing.
Yeah.
Um, One of my best friends who moved from California back in like third grade, I was his first friend when he moved here. We just hit it off, and like for whatever reason, like we weren't listening to a lot of hip hop or anything, but we always loved beatboxing, just like being crazy beatboxing and like freestyling. And we record these little sounds like on phones, our little like
Yeah.
flip phones and stuff.
Nice.
And Yeah, and so it kind of, I guess from there, it kind of naturally led into what I was saying about, falling in love with like underground hip hop and listening to it a lot. And when I started like actually writing and producing, it was quite a few years later, because this was back, elementary school, middle school, with that friend when I was freestyling beatboxing, all the way up through like to high school, and I would still do that with my brothers, and eventually I was really starting to think, I want to make music. I started to write some lyrics. I didn't know what I was going to do with it. I didn't know how to like record. I didn't know how I was going to get a beat or like how any of that worked, but I just wanted to start writing lyrics.
Yeah.
And then not even too long after that, probably like within just like a couple months, I ran into an acquaintance. I wasn't like super good friends with him, but I kind of knew him through another friend, and one of his friends, and it got brought up when we were talking. I was like, yeah, I want to. They knew that I rapped. A lot of people knew that I just like to freestyle, and I brought up how I wanted to make music and have it produced. And both of them were like, oh, we've actually been wanting to do that as well. They both got into production a little bit, like producing the beats. And I think one of them had an old like microphone.
Yeah.
I don't even know what it was, but it was super like low quality, cheap mic. And so we had this plan, and we met up, and they were able to make a couple beats, and we were just like brand new, kind of starting out. and recorded a couple tracks. We had this group called Black Tie Empire, and we released a couple songs like on SoundCloud, and a little cringy. If I'm being honest, when I listen to some of it, I'm like, you know.
Yeah.
But it was like our brand new stuff, you know, very, very early, our first stuff. And we started out with that. We just came out with like two or three songs. And within that time, like we it would take a while for us to meet up. And then after we did a couple songs, we like didn't make anything after. And so I started to get really antsy. I was like, I need to make music. I want to make more. Like before it was like, I just want to like come out with like a song. Like I think that'd be dope if I just came out with like one song. I don't care if it's like crazy produced well, put it online.
Yeah.
But it didn't stop there. Like it didn't satisfy the hunger. And I was so antsy, and I was like, I have to keep making music somehow. Yeah. And so I my little brother, he was really into DJing at the time. He was DJing parties, and so he knew some stuff about you know, just like using mixers, and I think he had like turntables and everything that he was just like barely starting to get into. And so he knew about this shop. It was like an independent place. I don't even know if I can remember what it was called, but it was in Orem, and it was an interesting shop. It was you walk inside, half of the store sold guns. It was like a gun shop.
No kidding.
And the other half was straight music. So I mean,
Man,
I don't know. I
mix.
guess, I guess, I mean, you could walk in there, you know, get yourself like a Glock 22, and at the same time buy yourself some, I don't know, some DJ,
some strings or
equipment, or you know, It was really, it was interesting.
Funny.
It was just like straight, like just half of it was that side and half of it was the other side. And I walked in there and I talked to the guy, and I got just like a super affordable, like cheap mic that actually had a big dent in it. It was like, so I guess they also sold some used stuff, and they had this mic that had a big dent in it, but he's like, yeah, it works. And I'm like, okay, I don't care. Like, as long as it was like, you know, I spent like $70-$80 on it, and got like a little, you know, like preamp and just super like cheap stuff. And so that I could, you know, make like my own music. Or at least record. I never got into like the production side of things really, but I had another buddy that was like getting into like making a couple beats and super like simple stuff. And from there I made a couple of tracks just like released like under Airworthy. And I got that like out on SoundCloud. But basically eventually when I really started to do like concerts and have my music a little bit more well produced, was I started to make music again with one of the guys from Black Tie Empire. And then I ran into that friend that I mentioned earlier that I grew up with back in like third grade. We didn't talk for like years. I don't know what it was, but we don't know why to this day, why we just like kind of stopped communicating. But I ran into him somehow. And he was talking about how he was freestyling a lot. He kept it going and he wanted to make music. And so us three started this group called Subveracity. And now it's called Proveracity. Basically, the meaning behind that was we really liked the idea of like being like true to ourselves and having like this, you know, just real sound and not being artificial and whatever in our music and our lyrics. That's where veracity comes in, which means truth. And the sub part was like, we wanted to add something like a prefix, just like we liked that it was like underground kind of meaning, and we're like coming up from underground. And we came out with a few songs just on SoundCloud, like 3 or 4. And then we started like our first shows that we ever did. The first one was actually a battle of the bands, and it was super out of place because we were at this venue. Do you guys know like the Utah Valley area, like Orem, very well? So the venue, and I'm trying to remember what it was called, but right now it's called The Rise. It's in Orem. It used to be called something else. Do you remember what the name was of what it was before that, The Rise?
Audio West.
Yeah.
Okay, I think it was Audio West. Okay, yeah. It was Audio West, and there was a battle of the bands, and we decided to sign up and like just start practicing, and we had like 3 songs that we were going to perform, and it was super out of place because, you know, we were hip hop. We were this hip hop group, and we brought out a lot of people. We brought a good amount of people. And there's these other like indie, you know, like rock bands, and we go up there and we do our thing. And surprisingly, a lot of people, a lot of the fans that came for those other bands, one of them was actually Foreign Figure. They were there at this Battle of the Bands. And I remember some like Foreign Figure fans like had like shirts and everything like afterwards were like coming up to us and asking us questions, and we had a few shirts with us, like they wanted it signed and whatnot. And it was like crazy experience for us because this is our first show and super nerve-wracking. I was like so nervous. I was probably shaking up there. I was so nervous. But that's kind of where it started when we started taking it more seriously. And then about a year after that, I actually decided to serve a mission. And which was a big surprise to everyone. I was a bit older. I got back in 2018. So it's after 2 years, 2016 to 18. And I was like 22, 23, I think, when I left.
Okay.
So that kind of went on pause, the music. They didn't do too much while I was gone. I definitely kept it going. Like I didn't expect to, but I actually ended up doing a lot of like freestyling stuff on my mission, meeting lots of people, like tons of people playing random instruments. And I had like a companion that wanted me to, he'd tell him like, hey, my companion's a rapper. And I just like freestyle off of them.
Nice.
Just random. I have a bunch of videos. I actually have like a couple like on YouTube and everything. But came back and I was like so motivated. I didn't even expect to be that motivated when I got back, but I got back and I was crazy motivated. And I was like, let's do this. Like, let's make music. And we decided to change the name to Provo just because we felt like, for one, it rolled off the tongue better. Secondly, it also fit with it was more like four, pro, like four something.
Yeah.
And so went hard with that. We've released an EP and then three EPs, I think. Wow, 3 EPs and then a few singles here and there. And we haven't released anything in like over a year. We're starting to get things going now. We're working on a song right now. So cool. Yeah, but I guess as far as like my solo career, where that comes into play. So this past year, in like when COVID hit, basically, I mean, we had like 2 or 3 shows as Provo to go perform. Those fell through, obviously, and we weren't meeting up at all. We weren't doing any music. And then I started going through some really difficult times. I was like in anxiety, some depression, some things just happened where in my life that like hit me like really, really hard, to where I just hadn't felt that much like anxiety before, and that like didn't know what to do. And then I found a couple beats that there's this producer that I really liked, and I ended up leasing like two or three beats, and I hit up this producer here that lives in Orem. His name is DJ Burns. Who's just an incredible producer. I'd known about him. I heard about him from other people for like a long time, but I never felt like, I don't know. We never, I think we talked a little bit on Instagram before, but not too much. I also had like my own kind of like, we had like our producer in Provo, and I was like, well, I don't really need someone else, but I decided to reach out to him because I didn't know who else, my guys, like we just weren't able to meet and whatnot. And I go over to his place and I record, my vocals on there. He mixes it and I'm like blown away. I'm like, wow, this guy's like actually really good. He's like super underrated. And he was charging like super cheap at the time too. I mean, he still is like very affordable. And then basically that's kind of where the solo career kind of started out. During then I was like, music is like the one thing that's like honestly keeping me going. I'd get in the zone. Like I'd have these really tough days, and I didn't have work or anything too because of COVID. And so I'd just be home and I have my headphones in and I'd be listening to these beats and I would just be writing and like super in the zone. And like for hours and hours of the day, I would just be like writing like on my phone, like all these lyrics, listening to beats, writing lyrics. And I realized like that was the one thing that was like really giving me some like hope and keeping me going and like giving me some kind of like excitement. And I was able to kind of put out, I wrote a lot about like my feelings and everything in the very first few of my songs. If you see, it's a lot of it is like really, I don't know, from the heart. And a lot of it is kind of like telling myself, I have some lyrics in a few of the first songs where I'm kind of telling myself like, you know, stop like settling for less. And it's time to like, you know, stand up and like find your worth. And a lot of those kind of themes came into play. And so I'd go record over at DJ Burns. And after a couple of those beats that I had, that I leased, that I bought, there was one day, like after we mixed the song right there, because he works super fast, he'll like mix it right there. He started to make this beat out of nowhere. And in hindsight, I know now he was clever. He was making this beat because he knew that like if he made like a super dope sounding beat, that I'd probably want to, you know, get on it and continue. And he made this beat and I was like really feeling it. And I had this verse that I hadn't used from before, like, I don't know, like way back. And I went and I spit that verse in the booth, and both of us were just like about it. And I'm like, okay, I'm gonna write a second verse. I'm coming back. And we did that. And so I bought the beat from him. And from then it just like continued and took off. And that's kind of, you know, where like all of those songs, it like pretty consistently, there was a time where I was releasing like a week. That came in. I was making music, like so much music. Like I was blown away that I didn't know that I could write that fast. It got to a point where I was like writing full on songs like so quick. And then it was coming up to my birthday actually, on August 6th. And I don't know if you guys have heard of the rapper Rufio, who's based out of Salt Lake.
I don't know. Actually, it doesn't sound very familiar. Yeah.
So he's one to definitely look up. Rufio is he's a dope MC who has a lot of similar inspirations as me with the underground hip hop and all that. And so I actually met him like it was like a year before that or a year and a half before that. And he actually opened up for Provo when we played a show at this place called the Rad Shack in Provo. That was like not there too long. Do you know that venue? Yeah. It was dope. I love that. I love that venue. Yeah. It's too bad it's not running out, but
I know.
We played a show there. He opened up for us because the other guy, Kevin in the group, the one who I grew up with, he saw him play one time, and so he liked him and he invited him. After the show, we were talking, and I find out that we both have the exact same birthday, the exact year. I've never met anyone like that was my first time meeting anyone. Yeah, so because I was kind of sitting away from me. He was talking to someone. Someone was like, "So how old are you?" He said, "I guess it would have been, I don't even know, 26 or 27 at the time." He said, like, "Oh, what month?" Or no, I. That's when I brought up. I was like, "Wait, hold up," because we're the same age. I was like, "What like month?" And he said August, and I was like, "What day?" And he said the 6th, and I freaked out. I like ran over him and like gave him a hug. I was so stoked on it. And so we started talking more, and we were just crazy because like not only we were born the same exact day, we just had all these similar interests. We both rapped, we both like grew up listening to like Atmosphere and like Brother Ali and Aesop Rock and all these underground hip hop artists. And so back to, sorry, I'm kind of jumping to like all these different
times. You're good, man. Yeah, you're
times.
good.
But so fast forward back to where I was. I was making all this music with Burns, and it was like legit like a month. Wow, it was like a month and a half before like my birthday in August. So sometime in like late June or something like that. And I have this idea. Because I did actually do one feature before that with Rufio called Lose Lose. And so a little bit after that, I decided we had a FaceTime call with Rufio and Burns. And I brought up the idea. I'm like, what if we did an EP on our birthday? Because it's like mine and Rufio's birthday. And what if, Burns, what if you produced all of it, all the beats, did all the audio engineering on it? And we're like, okay, this is gonna be hard because like we'd have to average because I guess we brought up, okay, how many songs? And I felt like 5 songs was gonna. I'm like, could we do 5? We thought about it a little bit, and everyone was like on board. Basically, we decided that we were gonna have to finish an entire song like every week, and so that was crazy. We were writing. Rufio and I were writing so much, and it was like a real collaboration too, which I really liked. It wasn't just like, hey, I'm gonna write something, told you the topic, I'm gonna send it over to you. Like there were times we were meeting up in person. He lives in Salt Lake. I'd go over there, and we'd have these like, we'd be thinking of like what to write for the hook, and we'd just start like vibing to it and connecting, and all these like ideas and lyrics would come out. It was like a real like collaborative effort, and then we'd go over with Burns, we'd finish something, and then he'd start a beat right after and kind of get a sound, and we just writing and producing all of it happened so quickly. And that's the EP called 28 Years. That's why it's called 28, because we released it on our birthday. We turned 28. So
nice.
That's why that comes into play. So yeah, and then
that's awesome.
Since then I've just been continuing to try to put in work. I guess another big event I could bring up is Rufio and I both had a really amazing opportunity to fly out to Milwaukee to produce at this studio called Kennedy, right in downtown Milwaukee. Very professional. And my older brother lives out there, and he just had the hookups. He knew a guy that he knows a guy that part owns the studio.
Nice.
And we went out there, and the beats were produced by Burns, but all of it was recorded and mixed out there. And that's like 4 singles, like Eric Sheck, Labels and Deals. Those were the days. And then my 2 songs, like the video game, like Fantasy and The Departure. It's like a tiny little mini EP, I guess you could call it.
Okay, cool.
And that was a big move for us. And we have good connections out there, hoping to things are getting set up actually to go play some shows out there as well. So
nice.
Yeah. I guess that's kind of, I would say long story short, but that was kind of long.
No, that's good, man. There's a lot in that. That's like, we love hearing those kind of stories, because everybody, music means a lot to a lot of people, right? But everybody has a different approach to it. Everybody has a different kind of circumstance, just different events. So it's awesome to hear. I like you going in depth like that. That's nice. So your brother, so you said your brother lives out in Milwaukee.
Yeah, my older brother.
Oh, very cool. Very cool. Because I noticed on your Instagram, you said Milwaukee is like your second home. So is that, are you out there all the time? Is that kind of?
Yeah. So I'm not out there all the time yet, but that's the plan. So basically when Rufio and I went out there, we fell in love with it. We love Milwaukee. It's my first time being in Milwaukee. Like I said, my brother's been living there for a while. He's actually he's born in Wisconsin. But he's been out back there for the past couple of years. We fell in love with it, the whole scene, the vibe, the food, everything. And so, I mean, basically we kind of said there too, like, this is like straight up, this is like our second home. And we have already, while we were there for like 3 days, we already had things like kind of planned, not like super specific, but we had plans. Okay, we are coming back next year. We're going to record here again. We're going to do some shows. And things, like I said, things have been getting lined up right now. Like we're in the works of getting a tour set up, and
nice.
And recording again when I'm out there. I love the guy, the audio engineer out there. He's amazing. He works with some really, really big artists too. He mixes their tracks. So yeah, I love the place.
That's awesome. Yeah, when you find a good engineer, a good audio team, that's huge, man. That's everything. Making a song is not usually a one man show. Usually it's a whole team that takes that to make that. No, that's cool, man. That's cool.
Absolutely.
So, you say you're getting a tour kind of lined up. That's awesome. Are you able to navigate around COVID kind of, or is COVID throwing a wrench or what?
Yeah, I mean, it is in there, and there's still a lot. We kind of have a little team right now that we're working with. We have someone kind of like running like PR, and we're having these phone calls weekly to try and kind of get it figured out. And then another artist that we're bringing on as well. And it's thrown a wrench because we don't know, how it's all going to exactly play out. But we have some like tentative like dates set It's going to be later.
Cool.
So hopefully things get better because we're looking at like late June. So it might get a little bit better. But we're also going to be doing like the plan is to be doing these shows at places where like clubs and like bars, just because, you know, we're not like super famous or whatever. We're not big enough to where like we're able to just say, hey, we're going to play at this venue and we have a ton of people out there coming.
Totally.
So yeah, we understand like it's going to be more like people are going to go and they're going to see us for the first time and hear us for the first time. But we have one or two places already that should be good to go play at. Awesome. And so, yeah, it's going to be a little bit different with COVID. But hopefully it'll be a big learning experience too. You know, like this isn't about like making money. We definitely know like we're not going to be making profit. We'll probably, you know, have to spend more money than make any of it back. But it's about learning, gaining experience, and hopefully gaining some new fans like while we're out there. So yeah, I'm excited though.
Man, that's awesome. Good luck. That's cool. Is it going to be live streamed or?
That's a good question. We haven't talked about that, but I you know, we probably will. Lately, cool. I've really liked the idea. I didn't end up doing it for our last show, but I had a show before that that was like live streamed, and people seem to like it a lot. And a lot of people, I like the whole idea of it because a lot of people can't go out, and places are limited too. I had a show a couple months ago where it was like I had people that wanted to go, but like they had to reserve a seat and they didn't in time. Yeah. So I like the idea of streaming. I feel like a lot of people are doing that too lately.
Yeah. And it kind of makes sense for a hybrid, you know, to kind of continue on even past this, because there's a lot of people that can't make it out to shows anyway under normal circumstances for whatever reason, you know.
Right.
So that's cool. I ask because it'd be fun to watch you, you know, from out here. I won't be out in Milwaukee. I can almost guarantee at that time at the same time. But, it'd be fun to see. That's cool, man. So you said you played a couple months ago. Where have you been able to play around here? Has it been kind of open or?
A little bit. So, I mean, so first off, you know, most of my shows, as you'd expect, are in Salt Lake, just because, and that's where more venues are, and it's also where more of like the hip hop scene is in Utah.
Yeah, totally.
And so I got Rufio and I have been actually playing together, and it's totally worked out because we have like that whole EP, plus we have, I think total, I counted the other day, I think total we have like 10 songs now of like collabs or features that we have. Nice. And so we have a lot of content together. And so we played at I'm trying to remember the day. It was about 2 months ago. We played at Soundwell. Do you know Soundwell?
Yeah, I do actually.
It's like a club.
I haven't been there, but I've heard of it.
Okay. Yeah. It had a really cool vibe, like the way they had it. That's the place where you had to like RSVP for like kind of your own area. Everything was like kind of spaced out like these couches. Cool. And it even though it was like COVID, it still had like a really cool kind of vibe. Everyone had to be sitting down, but I don't know. It was fun. It was the first time, you know, doing a show since like over a year, you know, ago. And so we were able to do that. And then there was this, it's actually, there's this CBD shop in Salt Lake in, what city is it? You know, Salt Lake Valley, somewhere in there.
Okay. Yeah.
Sandy or something. Anyways, they Rufio hit me up one time. This was like a few weeks ago, told me that the owners, the people who work there really like our music and they wanted us to do a show there. And they actually do it live stream. They have it like streamed from their Facebook and like Instagram. And so we were able to go do that. And that was a really cool experience too. It was super, super small. Like not very many people were there. But some problems happened with the sound. We couldn't get, the DJ couldn't get like the mic set up. And he's like a pretty like legit DJ. He's been doing it for a long time, Lasan with like the mics and whatnot. And so we did it without the mics and it worked out perfectly. Like it was like almost like
really?
It meant to me that the mics weren't working because like just the acoustics and everything in there, it was really cool. I'll probably get some, I posted a little bit on my story. I might sometime post it like on my feed, but it turned out like pretty dope. So little things like that. And then the last one we did was actually at the Rise. We there was the Utah, like local Utah Music Award ceremony thing. And we were asked to play Air Check with and I don't know if you guys have seen, like we have a music video for Air Check on YouTube, and we have a whole dance crew with us. We had a choreographer that choreographed everything. And we were able to get a lot of those dancers on stage with us. So it was a pretty dope experience. Yeah, we had
awesome.
them on there and did that whole song, and then like we had an after show where Rufio and I did like another like 4 of our songs. So smaller gigs here and there, but well, like worthwhile to still go out there and perform.
Yeah, totally. And it'll be nice when things open up like normal, you know, and all these artists, all you guys can get back out. And man, that's one of the things we miss the most, you know, and I'm sure a ton of people do, is just going to shows, you know, seeing new people and discovering new stuff.
Yeah, for sure.
So oh, sorry, Bo, go ahead.
Yeah, you mentioned in your Instagram bio, Japanese hip hop. Explain to us more about that and kind of like where it comes from for you and how it influences your sound, and not only your sound, but your persona.
Yeah, for sure. I'm glad you asked. It's crazy I didn't even bring that up earlier. So Japanese, that's like huge part of my life. Like I feel like I consider it as just a huge part of who I am. So a little bit more background, just like before we even get into the music side of it, but like I have always been a huge fan of Japanese like culture, entertainment, you know, like anime, all that. That was like my favorite like shows growing up, were like Dragon Ball Z and like a bunch of those shows. And so that was always something I was interested in. It didn't happen. I didn't really start to get into it and like start to learn the language, like get that deep into it until it was like a year after high school. So I graduated in 2011. It was like a year after high school. I had a couple of Japanese buddies. They were studying at UVU. They were just studying abroad. And I also really started to get a lot more into like the entertainment and like the Japanese music and the anime. And one day, honestly, like it just like hit me. I was thinking like, I love the culture. I love the language. It sounds so cool to me. Why don't I just learn it? And this was like probably one of, if not like the most, how do I word this? Like solid goals that I ever made, like to where I was so determined that I was going to do it no matter what. And I made basically made a promise to myself then that I was going to study the language, and I was going to keep going until, you know, I was fluent and I could speak it. And I found some stuff just like online to study for like 3 months. I studied every day, and then I'd study with my friends. I'd ask them questions. And then eventually I decided, okay, if I'm really going to like get this down though, like I need to be in the country. And this is all, by the way, obviously before I decided to serve a mission. And I found a school out there. I was looking at a couple different schools out in Japan, just like for studying, just for like Japanese language schools. And I found one in a place called Fukuoka, which is like, it was not too far from one of my buddies who ended up moving back. So he was there. And so I went out there for 3 months. And I studied at the school and made a lot of friends. And I stayed at my buddy's house for a few days, like at the beginning and at the end. And from then, you know, I came back and I still studied it, like very consistently. And, you know, leading into the mission, like I decided, you know, when I wanted to go, I didn't know I was going to go to Japan, but I obviously wanted to. But I decided, you know what, like, I'm just going to like go for it. And I think like, you know, God will kind of like have my back. Like, even if I don't go there, like he knows my love for Japanese and the language. And I feel like you know, in some way I'd be able to like really get it down and whatnot afterwards. But I got called to Japan, different part. It was the Kobe mission, which I was in like Osaka and like Kyoto a lot, like over there. And obviously I boosted, that helped. I was speaking Japanese every day. And it was nice too, because I had like a kind of a head start. I went in there and I could speak decently and improved a lot more while I was there. Obviously, I'm there for 2 years using it every day. And then and I always had this kind of question. People would ask me because they knew that I rapped, like, can you rap in Japanese? Like, and I'd always be like, I mean, I can, but like I listen to the Japanese, and it's hard. Like Japanese, like when the Japanese hip hop and rapping, it's like pretty different from just even speaking it. Like if you want it to sound good and legit, there's like a lot of slang that I don't, and not necessarily that you have to use it, but I came back, and then in one of our EPs of the Proveracity, we have an EP called Path of the Ronin. And in all three, actually 2 of the 3 songs, I have bits and pieces, not full entire like verses, but like there's a song there's a song called Genki Dama, which is essentially, I don't know if you guys know Dragon Ball Z very well, but Genki Dama is Spirit Bomb in Dragon Ball Z.
Nice.
And so,
okay,
so in the song, we actually have this hook that says, "Let's make a spirit bomb, put your hands up." And that's actually like one of the most like, I guess, like hype, like kind of that gets people going at shows when we do that one, because we get people hands up, and it has like heavy guitar in it. And so like the first part of my verse, I think it's like 6 bars or something, is all in Japanese, and 6 or 8 bars. And and when I wrote that, it was like I was feeling like really with those lyrics, of course, too, because it's my second language, I put a lot more time and effort, and I'm like, I want it to sound good. I want Japanese people to hear it and be like, whoa, like,
do it
that's
justice,
like legit, And so I put a lot of work into those like few like bars, and from there I was like, you know what, maybe I can, add more Japanese like to my music, and I did it with our other song Ichiban, and not as much. I had like, again, like probably like 4 bars in Japanese, but from there I was like, and I'd have it, I'd even talk to friends and send them lyrics like, hey, by the way, like does this sound okay? And and most time they'd just be like, yeah, like that sounds good. And then I guess from there, like it kind of gave me more confidence with like using Japanese in my music. When I started actually hear like friends of friends, like I had a friend who had like cousins that were like Japanese, and he got word, and told me what they said, and they were like, they thought that like the guy on there was like a Japanese. He thought I was Japanese.
No kidding. Nice.
Which was a huge
That's
like
nice
compliment to me, like very like wow, like I that meant like a lot, and from there it just kind of pushed me even more, like I need to keep using this in my music because it's also unique, and there's not very many other people who are like not Japanese who are putting Japanese in. Actually, there's, I don't even know like any. I may have like heard of a couple, but that are putting the Japanese lyrics in there. And then I feel like my biggest accomplishment I'm really proud about is the song for me. It's called Hikaru. It's in Japanese, like on Spotify, on my music. It's the song that's in Japanese.
Nice.
But that same friend that I had that I went, stayed at his house over in Japan. He raps, and I decided I got a beat from a producer in Salt Lake named Todd Tran, who's amazing. And he sent me this beat and just kind of like gave it to me, which was dope. And I all I could picture was like Japanese on it, because it sounded like, I don't know if you guys know like Nujabes. There's a Japanese producer.
I don't know. That doesn't sound too familiar. I love the Japanese stuff. I actually listen to it all the time, but I'm not super familiar with a lot of the artists over there. That's an area I need to explore more.
Yeah, his music's huge, like on YouTube. He's got albums. It's all like, most of it's instrumentals, and then he'll have like some like rappers on there. But he died at like a young age, like back in 2000, I don't know, early 2000s. He had like in a car accident, but he had huge like discography. But his music, it sounded really similar.
His story sounds similar, I think. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, there's even an anime that has all his music all produced. It's called Samurai Champloo, and it's like all
Okay.
produced kind of like by hand the music, but had a very similar vibe. And so I hit up my friend. I was like, "You want to get on this verse?" And he was hyped out of his mind. And then I worked really, really hard on a full. I'm like, "Okay, this is gonna be hard, but I want to write a full 16 bar verse in Japanese." And that was like pretty daunting. I was like,
Yeah, no kidding.
"Oh man, I don't know like how this is gonna work." And I just kind of started from English. Like I didn't write English lyrics, but I kind of wrote English like in words, like ideas.
Yeah.
And then I kind of compiled it, kind of put it together a little bit. And then I actually did get his help as well. I'd say, like, how does this sound? And then he'd kind of send me some ideas, and I would actually take those, some lyrics that he took, and I would switch it around to make it to have my flow. Cause like I have a very, there was like a flow that was in my mind that I wanted to kind of do. So I'd switch it around to make it work and switch out some words here and there. And yeah, got that done, and just super hyped about it. It's still a lot of work doing like any Japanese lyrics, but that's kind of where that's how it came to be. But I definitely plan to do more in the future. But yeah, definitely Japan is really, really close to my heart. I do have goals to play shows out there, and I want to, the next time I go out there, I want to network with a lot of like the producers and hip hop artists out there, because I definitely do see myself spending a lot more time out there and making music, with Japanese
Totally.
musicians.
Well, what's the scene like over there? Like the hip hop scene in Japan, in your experience?
From what I've, and I haven't been able to really get into, like go to any shows or anything like that. I wish I had the first time I went there for 3 months, but they have a pretty solid scene. I mean, I listen to a lot of Japanese hip hop. It's definitely like, it's pretty big. It's pretty big. There's a lot of people that come out to shows. I've seen a lot of videos of like hip hop shows that they have out there, and they love it. There's actually they do rap battles, and it's huge out there. They have these YouTube videos. They come out with these videos on YouTube and probably on TV out there. I'm not sure, but one of my buddies showed me the rap battles that that you'd watch on YouTube, and the crowds are huge. Like, it's pretty big.
Really?
And I feel like a lot of people don't know, even in Japan. I feel like a lot of people don't know about it. The people that aren't really into like hip hop don't know, like, but the scene's actually like seems like pretty good.
Interesting.
So I like being around there and walking around like as a missionary. Every once in a while, I'd like run into like a group of kids that were like freestyling. So not like super often, but you go to the park, and I was actually able to like freestyle with. He was a skater too, which was cool. So I was able to go.
Nice.
Skated with him a little bit. And then he took a video, I beatboxed, and he freestyled, and I beatboxed. So there's a lot of dope like hip hop artists out there that I feel like I need to be there and like and meet them,
Yeah, you can. Yeah, exactly. You want to connect more. Yeah. Yeah, that's awesome, sure. Man. That's awesome. Well, I like to ask. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, sorry. I just had a thought. Oh, like,
keep going.
If somehow like your guys' app could somehow, I don't even know, like go like internationally, that would be incredible. If I just like, I'm just thinking right now, like hypothetically, if I went out there and I had an app that I could connect with people like really easily, like hip hop artists around where I am, that'd be amazing.
That's the goal, man. We're trying to make that whole world super easy. And because it's an app, we can go international. There's like, there's little things we got to adjust, anytime you leave the country. But
right.
We
got to make it happen.
That's definitely in the plan.
I'm rooting for you guys. Make it happen.
That's awesome. Oh, well, yeah, thanks, man. So I like to ask a lot of the artists this question, because I feel like this is really important for, up and coming musicians and just kind of everybody who's involved in this type of world to know. What's an experience you've had that sucked to go through, right? It was not fun. You hated it. But in hindsight, you're really grateful that you went through it. And, especially if it's music related or just kind of about you.
Yeah. So I would definitely have to say, I vaguely stated it earlier, but just this past year, in like spring, like March and April of like around there, Yeah, I went through a pretty tough experience. And it had to do with like a relationship kind of. There was this girl, and I had very strong feelings for her, and things just never, I don't know, like, I guess there were too many things like with her past and whatnot that like kind of prevented from like going into a relationship. But I was around for a long time, and it didn't end up really getting anywhere, I guess. And so some things with that really, really affected me like pretty bad mentally. And that's where I went into like a state, like I just kind of had a lot of, anxiety and oh, sorry, 1 second.
Oh, no, you're good.
Like, oh man, it's actually it's actually my mom. I'm just gonna text her real quick.
You're good, man. No problem. Yeah, the nice thing about this being recorded is we can, cut it how we need to, crop it, whatever, So yeah, you're good.
Cool.
Yeah.
But yeah, so things with that relationship really kind of like hurt me, and I don't know, I just put me in like kind of a weird state to where I was going through that really, really hard time. And kind of at that point, and I guess it was a combination of things, like it probably just wasn't that alone, but I think it was something that kind of like, kind of pushed me over a little bit more, where I just felt just a lot of anxiety, panic attacks. And that was like the big reason of kind of like, if that didn't happen, if I didn't go through those like weeks of just like hardship and like just feeling awful and anxious, I probably, I don't know, I might not be here like as like Airworthy, like producing, like coming out with music as Airworthy as a solo artist. That's really like during that time, it was like, okay, I need to do something. And that's when I started to like write music and write the lyrics, that everything that I was feeling. And then, that led me to think I need to make my own solo career, because I'm able to do this, anytime I want. I don't need to like meet with people, and I can express myself constantly, writing music all the time and getting it done, meeting up with Burns and like just getting content out. And it was literally like, I actually have a lyric in one of my songs where I say, Airworthy music is my therapeutic instrument. And like, totally, like wholeheartedly mean that. The music that I'm able to write and create was therapeutic for me. And it was what really like kept me going. But yeah, it's kind of funny how it works. Like, I like that question, because I don't know, a lot of the like great things like that I feel like that I've accomplished, it kind of started from like, hardship and just not being in a good place, but then, taking that and using it to like, overcome it. So
yeah.
Yeah,
no, totally. No, that's awesome. I think that sort of thing is really important for people to understand, that it happens to everybody. You know what I'm saying? It's not, there's going to be a lot of things, but everything that happens can have a positive outcome. You can, some things just do kind of suck, but like, it's all about what you do with everything, and so with artists, it's perfect. Like your story, because those are things that people can relate to, people understand. And that's the whole thing about art, right? Is you make yourself, you're expressing yourself, and then people, ideally cling to it and adapt and agree and can feel it through you, and so I think that's why art is so essential. So that question just kind of ties into that, so. Well, you released a song called Rogue, right? That was your most recent song.
Yeah.
That's super great, man. Super tight. It's everything about it. You have a great sound, honestly. It's fantastic.
I really appreciate that. I would say that's one of my most proud tracks that I've ever made. I think so. The feature on there, Afro, he's actually been someone I've been listening to for years and years. He is just incredible. He's his music career kind of started out when he was like 16. And there's this, do either of you know R.A. the Rugged Man? There's a rapper named R.A. the Rugged Man.
Rugged, I don't know, actually. Rugged
okay,
Man kinda.
That's okay. So yeah, R.A. the Rugged Man, he's a bit older now. He's probably like in his 50s. I consider him like definitely a legend in hip hop. He even had a song back when his name was Crustified Dibs. He had a song with Biggie. So like way back, and based out of New York. He had this contest with one of his songs, like someone using his instrumental and rapping over it, and whoever did the best was able to, I can't remember what it was exactly, like make a song with him or go on tour with him or something like that. But this kid, he goes by Afro. He was legit like 16 at the time, did this song. Doesn't sound 16 at all, even back then. He has a super deep voice. He's this big kid. Yeah. And he was, anyway, RA brought him up and loved him so much that like he's made like multiple songs with him. He's been like world tour with him. And then he even Afro went on like Jimmy Fallon. He freestyled on Jimmy Fallon. He went on like the Queen Latifah show.
Nice. Just
like some big stuff. And so I've always been a really big fan of his, and his style as well of hip hop. And yeah. And so a couple months ago, my brother actually told me about how he sent out a thing like saying that he's doing features. And I hit him up. I sent him my music. I didn't know like what to expect exactly. Obviously, I hope that he would like it and want to be a part of it. But I hit him up and he was down and blew my mind. I like the whole entire time it didn't even feel real. Like I'm like this dude's gonna be on one of my songs. Yeah. And so I started writing. Actually, we started with the beat. Actually, he's right here. This is DJ Burns. This is DJ Burns.
Hey, how's it going, man?
So he says, "How's it going?"
What's up?
Nice to see you.
Hi.
It says, "Nice to see you." He's actually here. So we actually have. Are you guys gonna record? Okay, I'm gonna go upstairs.
You're good.
We have. Let me show you guys real quick. Can I flip the camera?
Yeah.
Okay, so we got the studio currently temporarily here in my basement.
Nice.
And so we need to set these up, but we got his setup right here, speakers. We got the microphone. Here's Ludovica, an amazing singer. they're working on something right now. And so I'm gonna go upstairs so we can continue this.
Good, that's awesome. Oh man, that looks great. Studio, man. Yeah, it's fun.
So yeah. It's he was working out. He had a place that he was renting out in on Provo Center Street. It was in the back of a barber shop.
No kidding.
But temporarily he decided to move to my basement, which worked out because I wasn't using it for anything. But it's convenient for me. So
yeah.
Anyways, I'm outside now. But so back to what I was saying. So we started with the beat, and Burns. I immediately when I got when Afro accepted, I called up Burns and told him about it, and he was like, "Okay, I'm coming over today." He came over, and we immediately I found a couple samples that I really wanted to use for the beat, and we kind of started from there. And then I called up one of my buddies. He was actually one of my mission companions who plays viola, who's an incredible violist. Who's doing like music, his master's at University of Indiana University, however you say it.
Something like that, yeah.
And he's been back here. He was back here for a couple months. So I called him up and I was like, dude, come bring your viola. And he was all for it. And so all of the strings that you're hearing there, the viola, that's all him. So we had like legit like real live viola.
Oh man,
played in there.
That's awesome.
And yeah, he just the beat. Burns is like, he's insane. Like his production is top notch. Like it's crazy how unheard and like underrated he is. He put that beat together, and I just watched him just work his magic. Like how the whole song, you know, just like how it develops. Like there's so much like to it, like so much like emotion and everything in it. And sent that over to Afro, and he was down. You know, he liked it. I started working on my lyrics. Another reason why I'm really proud of it is because of just a lot of the I guess like the symbolism and whatnot that I put inside of the song.
Yeah.
And so yeah, there's a lot of reasons why, but like I'm just like really, really proud of that one. And that came out awesome, last Friday.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's a new one. We because we heard that right around the time it came out. That's awesome, man. Well, what's for the future? Like, what do you have in line coming up?
So I got a couple things in the works right now. I do have one song that's completely finished, that's coming out in 2 weeks from today's Saturday. It's 2 weeks from yesterday.
Oh, cool.
It's February 19th, I think. So it's I'm excited about this one. It's there's a song that I have out already that came out in like August called Tight Strings.
Okay. Yeah.
And it's a collaboration with this female vocalist named Carly. She goes by Carl. And we've always wanted to work on another song together. And so super excited that we got this one. Her husband actually plays the guitar. Like it's mostly guitar. That's kind of like the base of the beat. Her husband plays, and then, you know, we do our thing. She sings, I rap. It first started out being recorded and like created with Burns. And because he's just been super busy, just recently had twins, hasn't been able to like work a whole lot. We sent it over to Todd. I mentioned his name, Todd Tran, who does like production and like mixing. We met up with him and then it, you know, put it all together. Her husband played the guitar, so his other parts, and like a solo, added that in there, and finished recording vocals. So yeah, that comes out in 2 weeks. So I'm really excited about that one. I have 2 other songs that are still kind of in the works. I'm kind of waiting for, there's a couple features that I have on them. Again, like features that I'm like that I grew up listening to. So I'm really, really excited about those. I'm still kind of obviously they're very, very busy with, you know, their music, because when you're as big as they are, you know, they have a lot going on. But I've already got like approvals from both of them, and I've already sent like my vocals on the beat, and so really looking forward.
Yeah, really, that's really awesome, man.
Forward to those ones. So yeah,
man, fun. Well, I'm excited to see him. That'll be great, or hear him, I guess. Yeah, that's
thank
awesome,
you.
man. That's awesome. Well, hey, thanks for joining us today, man. It's been great talking to you.
Absolutely,
and getting to know, you know, kind of a lot about you, and it's great. That's exactly what we like doing. So yeah, thanks for joining us.
Absolutely. I really appreciate you guys, you know, inviting me onto this. So, and I'm excited about that app. Yeah. You guys keep me updated. Keep me updated about that.
For sure. Yeah. We'll send you a closed beta link, and you know, we just want everybody to kind of use it and tell us what they like and what they think could be better and whatnot. And then we'll get it out. So hopefully when you go to Japan, you know, you can connect with those people.
Yeah. I'd love to. Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. Well, hey, Bowie, do you have anything else that you'd like to ask him or add or anything?
Yeah, where can we find you on social media? Tell the audience
social media
where they can find you.
Yeah, so Instagram, that's like the biggest one for me. That's what I use most of the time. Airworthy_official. I'm on Facebook as well. I need to change like the name on it. Right now it just kind of like, I think it was like default, it kept the Instagram, so it's still Airworthy_official on Facebook, but part of me kind of feels like, you know, why not just keep it that way? I don't know, keep the same thing. But Airworthy_official. Yeah, Facebook, mostly use Instagram. Other social media, I haven't really started Twitter or anything like that, but obviously you can find me on, all platforms, Spotify, Apple Music and all that. Just Airworthy.
Fantastic.
Yeah, thanks.
That's great, man. Well, hey, yeah, thanks again. We'll have to do this again and get an update, on everything that's coming on. Hopefully we do this and you've played in Milwaukee and everything, man. That'd be great.
Yeah.
That'd be great.
Yeah, I'm down.
Well, sounds good, man. Well, hey, thanks. Enjoy your rest of your day, and
you too.
We'll see you next time, huh?
See you, man.
All right. Peace, guys. Take care.
Hey, take care. You too, man. We'll see you.
Yeah.